Welcome back, everyone. Happy New Year and all that bollocks. Thank you to everyone that didn't subscribe because I've been away. I just get caught. I have so much shit going on. Sometimes I don't have time for this and my head's in other stuff. But thank you to everyone that didn't unsubscribe. I will always come back like a bad penny. Happy New Year and all that. Merry Christmas and all that stuff. It's only one place to start, and that is, as you know, Subriel Mateus got knocked out by Dalton Smith in 5 fucking excellent rounds, up there with wins by a British fighter abroad. We all knew that Dalton Smith was future world title material, didn't we? We all believed that Dalton was good enough and probably destined to win a world title. Did we think that he would go on and win a world title? That probably not. A lot of people said beforehand that the way that Dalton should win and could win, possibly the only way that he might win, is to try and outbox him like Liam Paro did. The difference being is Liam Paro is pure boxer. Dalton Smith is very much pure box puncher. And although Dalton's got better boxing ability than Subriel Mateus, I believe, technically, because Mateus isn't that kind of fighter, I didn't think he could or should even try to outbox him the way that Liam Paro did. It's not his way. He's a box puncher and he's a good puncher. He came out the first round, Subriel Mateus, a slow starter, as usual. And Dalton came out, boxed him very nicely, moving, lateral movement, in and out, jab, fired the 1-2 straight off, right hand, straight down the pipe, right from the first minute he was doing it, and really won the first round by a mile. Like we say, Mateus is a slow starter, and Dalton got off to a superb start. That kind of brought Mateus into the fight pretty early because now Mateus knew that he had to. Well, I've now got to show this guy and put him in his place. But when he did that, Dalton made the decision to fight with him, and for a lot of the fight, Dalton would stay in the pocket and stay up close. And Sonny Edwards, I watched an interview with Sonny Edwards, and being very close to Dalton as Sonny is, he said why that was. But from the second round on, Dalton was he'd throw his punches, and he was still moving a bit, but he was now standing to trade with Mateus. And a lot of people were thinking, me at the time as well, were thinking this is a bad move, this is the wrong thing to do, because from sort of 2 to 4, it looked like Dalton was the one taking damage, and Dalton looked like he was the one affected more by the sort of guerrilla warfare, where Mateus wasn't showing that many effects. But Dalton would get his punches off, and Dalton would stay in there, and Dalton would trade, and Mateus is great at throwing these sort of really short uppercut come hooks on the inside, and they're little short jarring shots, and he was throwing them, and Dalton was taking them. Now, Sonny Edwards said afterwards that Dalton had decided very early that he was going to elect to stay in the pocket and not waste energy throwing his salvos, throwing little combinations, throwing a jab, 1-2, the right hand, and then getting on his bike and waiting for his next attack. What Dalton was going to do, he was going to stay in the pocket, and he was going to risk getting hit. He knew he'd get hit, but he was electing to do that over burning energy by getting in and out, lateral movement, doing laps, and sort of just taking his bursts when he stepped in and then stepped out again. He was going to save energy by staying in the pocket. This meant that Dalton could throw his punches, Mateus would answer back, and he would land. And this was the trade-off. He would get caught, but it meant that as he got caught, at the same time and after, he was then in close and in range to throw his punches. This is what made this fight work so well from an aesthetic point of view. Because Dalton didn't elect to box and move and get away, he decided he made the decision to stand and trade with Mateus, and he made the decision to stay in range, to stay right on the inside, so that when Mateus had thrown his, Dalton didn't even have to need to adjust his feet. He was there. He was there, poised, sharp, throw his own punches. Now, outwardly, for at least 3 rounds, I thought this was the wrong decision because, as I said, Dalton looked like the one who was taking damage, and Dalton looked like the one that might get sort of wound down and ground down, and taking punches wastes energy as well. But he would have been forced to box and run a lot more, which would have wasted energy, but would have also left him out of range and not in any position to throw his own shots back and do damage. So on this occasion, it's a gamble, and it's a gamble that paid off. There was a body shot, and credit to Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn noticed this as well. I'm sure a lot of you did too. There was a little combination Dalton threw, and he threw a body shot. I can't remember, it was a sort of low right hand. I can't remember. or left hook, and it really landed absolutely sweet just around the obliques, sort of between there and the abs, and that had an effect. Again, these pro fighters always hide it really well, but Mateus was that hurt him, that shot, and he backed up a little bit. I'm sure, like I say, I'm sure you guys noticed it as well, but that was sort of signalled the end. And the shot that done it, there was a few shots that came in, but again, as we're speaking about it, Dalton was in range because he elected to leave himself in harm's way so that he'd know that he would be in harm's way, that he could get his shots off when he needed to, up close and impersonal. And there was one, I think it was a right hand, and it was just as Mateus's head was up, and he was kind of braced, and you sort of landed right on the point of the chin. You could see it went all the way down to his feet. That kind of done him. Then the last one was like a shot, top of the ear, sort of almost back of the head, temple-ish area, and he was done. Mateus was done. This was so good for Dalton because, up till this point, Dalton has never been at that level. He's never been in with that caliber. And Dalton only had his faith in himself and his confidence to make the decision to fight the way he did. And it paid off for him. And that's going to have ticked so many boxes in Dalton's head of maybe things he didn't have the answer to before. He'd never been asked these questions before. Well, tonight he got them answered. He took the paper by his own decision and he passed the exam. Phenomenal engine, phenomenal bravery, showed a great chin and showed he can dig at the highest level. Just an absolutely fan-fucking-tastic performance because they say fortune favours the brave, and that really was a brave performance because he could have tried to sort of box and punch to his way to a points victory, or maybe sort of look at a late stoppage as Mateus had tire, but he didn't. He was fucking balls in and just said, no, I'll do it. I've got faith in myself. I trust myself. I've got enough stamina. I've got enough power, and I'm fucking tough enough. And I'll beat this man at his own game, which he did. Outstanding. You can talk about all the great British abroad wins, as far back as you want to go, Nigel Benn, Don Curry, and all. You can go back as far back as you want. I think that stands with any of them. It stands with any of them for the manner in which he done it. In New York, away from home, against a sort of a boogeyman that not many other people wanted to fight. Certainly wouldn't elect to fight Mateus in that manner. And he did it. And he spectacular, absolutely spectacular. People moan about an early stoppage. Listen, if Mateus had been allowed to carry on, Dalton would have flattened him. I'll put my house on that. And then he complained, and then he was sort of slumped over the ropes at the end after that as well. But no, not an early stoppage for me. Just a fucking outstanding performance. And the way he's done it with all the titles, he's done the traditional route of all the titles, even at ABA level, and then through the pros, British, European, English, all that. Phenomenal. Like I said, I think we all believed that Dalton Smith was world title material and was possibly world level. Well, now you'd have to say that he's all day long world level. And he's getting on for elite level. Yes, it's one win, but it's just the manner in which he done it. That takes some belief and some balls. That takes some stones to go out and fight like that against that type of opponent. So, listen, I'm all fanboying up, and I'm full of superlatives for Dalton Smith because it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Probably the most enjoyable fight for ages. I'm going to turn the clock back a little bit. And talk about the how shall I call it? The outpouring of emotions and opinions after Joshua against Jake Paul. And it's kind of like this. If you eat dog shit, chances are it's going to taste like shit. Okay? Now, if you watch this, if Jake Paul had elected to actually fight with Anthony Joshua, then it would have been over in around 60 seconds. When people say, oh, it took Joshua 6 rounds to get rid of him. No, it didn't. No, it didn't at all. It didn't take Joshua 6 rounds to get rid of him. It took Joshua 6 rounds to get a hold of him. That's a different matter. When he got hold of him, it took one punch, really, as it should have done. But it didn't take him 6 rounds to get rid of him. It took him 6 rounds to fight him, to find him. I mean, it was quite funny, wasn't it, when Jake was holding on to his legs, like sailor clinging to the ship's mast and the force nine. Jake always, I'm not letting go. But I didn't think it was as bad. I thought it could have been worse than that, to be honest with you. I don't know what people expected when they come out with. If it had been over and around, people would have said, "Oh, fucking, that was a farce." But it took 5, 6 hours of farce. What the fuck do you expect? Honestly, one of the things, something I was really a joy to watch for me, and I think for any fight fan, was Frotch on Fight and Frotch's interview with Nazim surrounding the Giant movie that's just come out. But Frotch and Nazim had an interview, and they were both a little bit fanboying into it. Frotch more fanboying over Nazim, but Nazim being very well aware of Frotch's career in detail. Just a really, really nice to see two pros just shooting and just having a fucking chat and trip down memory lane. It was really good. Frotch told a great little story about when he went to see Nazim fight Barrera, where he got absolutely schooled by Barrera. But Hamad said he took off like fucking, as he'd done it quite a few times. You read Brendan Eagle's autobiography, Nazim had to take a shit ton of weight off in days for a lot of his fights, especially at the end of his career. But Frotch tells about this story. He was there with his brother and a mate of theirs. And if you can remember this fight, if anyone who's seen Hamad Barrera will remember this. Hamad gets a pint thrown over him just before getting into the ring, right? And this is so Carl Frotch said with his brother, we were there, and we saw that. He said, so me and my brother Lee and our mate, we went to look for, this is Carl Frotch, we went to look for the geezer that throw the pint over you. That was fucking funny. Just, loses a bit in translation, but yeah, good interview, really good interview. Good times, good fun. That's it. Ajit Caballero won again this weekend, didn't he? Still on the run. Ajit Caballero is I mean, let's put it right. Ajit Caballero is a real problem. He's strong. He's fit. Again, as we all know, punches to the body really well. He's not the most talented fighter out there, but his ingredients as a whole are a winning recipe, aren't they? So we see how far he goes. What else we got? Usyk against Wilder. I don't know about you, lot. Does anyone see that as a waste of time? I do. Complete waste of time. If that does really go ahead. I know it's a bit like, well, he's earned that. He can pick that, and he just wants to fight all the big names of his generation. Because we can't moan at, you know I'm not a huge Tyson Fury fan, but I am fucking objective. We can't moan at Fury for taking shit fights and then give Usyk a pass just because he's Usyk, in my opinion. And I think Wilder at this point is a shit fight. Fury coming back, supposedly against Arslanbek Makhmudov, which is, considering the other people Fury's fought in comebacks, that's quite a decent opponent. That'll be good. And then it will be Fury steered towards Fabio Wardley. We believe that's kind of the route, aren't we? You heard it here first. Fabio Wardley stops Tyson Fury. I'll have a bet with any of you on that one. But, right, that's it, everyone. I'll see you all soon.